And we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us.
President Trump's new tariffs took effect on April 2nd, slapping a 10% base rate on all imports, with even higher duties for 57 countries. The goal? To curb trade deficits and boost US manufacturing. But the impact has been immediate. Markets are tumbling, inflation fears are rising, and tensions with key trade partners are escalating fast.
So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades, and it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China and charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs, and they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand, and the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. We're paying them billions of dollars, and we cut the funding because a lot of bad things are happening in South Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it.
I strongly believe that tariffs benefit no one. They're bad for the world economy. They hurt people. They hurt businesses. And so I regret deeply the decision of the US administration this evening to levy a tariff of 20% on all goods imported from the European Union. My priority and that of the government is to protect Irish jobs and the Irish economy.
The unilateral action that the Trump administration has taken today against every nation in the world does not come as a surprise. For Australia, these tariffs are not unexpected, but let me be clear, they are totally unwarranted.
This is the reason why I am convinced that we must work to avert a trade war in every possible way that would benefit no one, neither the United States nor Europe, which of course does not exclude, if necessary, also having to imagine adequate responses to defend our production.
We do not want a trade war. That would make our populations poorer and the world more dangerous in the long run. But Sweden and the Swedish government are well prepared for what is happening now. We are on a stable economic footing with world-class government finances. And in the EU, I will continue to take every opportunity to reverse this development. My hope and our goal is that through negotiations, we will be able to limit the tariffs that the US has now presented. We want us, together with the US, to find a way back to a path where we trade and cooperate so that people in our countries are better off. Sweden will continue to stand up for free trade and international cooperation.
At this moment, together with the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Agriculture and the other sectors, we are evaluating the measures to be put in place, mainly to protect our national industry and our exports. We will work hand in hand with the private sector and with every sector to review what measures we will consider and implement based on this decision of the United States.
We will concentrate our pan-governmental effort on negotiations with the United States to minimize damage to our economy and prepare the best response strategies in collaboration with the private sector through the Economic Security Strategy Task Force.
We don't see anything that could affect the free trade agreement. However, as you say, this is a developing story. We are waiting to know the contents of this decision in detail so we can understand the situation and its impacts.
Following this announcement, we have once again conveyed to the U.S. government that the recent measures are extremely regrettable and have strongly requested that they be reconsidered. We believe that the recent measures and other broad trade restrictions imposed by the U.S. government could have a significant impact on economic relations between Japan and the U.S., and ultimately on the global economy and the multilateral trading system as a whole.
This tariff policy of President Trump is going to be painful for American families. The impact on farmers, workers, consumers, and businesses across my state of Illinois, sadly, is going to be devastating. Canada is Illinois' largest export market. Illinois exports to Canada totaled $20 billion in 2023. Illinois ranks 5th among 50 U.S. states in exports to Canada, 1st in imports. And states across the nation are going to feel a similar impact. So it's no surprise the vast majority of Americans cannot understand what the president is trying to do when it comes to our relationship with a good friend, trusted ally, and historic partner, Canada. But President Trump recently said he couldn't care less. If car makers hike prices in response to tariffs, couldn't care less. Pushing forward with this plan that economists, experts, and even the White House itself admits is going to be painful for American families. The last election was all about the cost of living. This is going to raise the cost of living for families across the United States, this tariff war. How does unnecessarily tanking our economy, alienating our allies, and taking money out of the wallets of Americans make us great again? Right now, we should be focused on common sense ways to lower prices and fight inflation. We should be taking genuine steps to slow the flow of fentanyl across our borders, which Canada has made it clear they want to cooperate with us in achieving. We should be working with and not fighting against our closest allies like Canada. And these tariffs do none of that. That is why I'm supporting Senator Tim Kaine's resolution to block the president's abuse of emergency powers. I know Senate Democrats will stand up for American consumers. Can a few Republican colleagues join us? Or will they continue to let Donald Trump and Elon Musk enrich billionaires at the expense of hardworking American families?
President Trump has just announced a series of measures that are going to fundamentally change the international trading system. Now, in doing so, he has preserved a number of important elements of our relationship, the commercial relationship between Canada and the United States. But the fentanyl tariffs still remain in place, as do the tariffs for steel and aluminum. As of this evening, the tariffs on automobiles will enter into force, and the U.S. has signaled that there will be additional tariffs in so-called strategic sectors, pharmaceuticals, lumber, and semiconductors. So we're in a situation where there is going to be an impact on the U.S. economy, which will build with time. In our judgment, it will be negative on the U.S. economy. That will have an impact on us. But the series of measures will directly affect millions of Canadians. We're going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures. We are going to protect our workers, and we are going to build the strongest economy in the G7. In a crisis, it's important to come together, and it's essential to act with purpose and with force. And that's what we will do.
And I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge.
The imposition of tariffs by the United States side on products exported to the United States by many countries, including China, under the guise of reciprocity, is a serious violation of WTO rules and seriously undermines the rules-based multilateral trading system. China firmly opposes this and will take necessary measures to firmly safeguard its legitimate interests. China has repeatedly emphasized that there are no winners in trade wars and tariff wars, and that protectionism has no way out. China urges the US to correct its incorrect approach and resolve its trade differences through consultations with countries around the world, including China, in an equal, respectful, and mutually beneficial manner. The unilateral imposition of tariffs by the United States, in violation of WTO rules, harms the common interests of all peoples and does not help solve the United States' own problems. It is clear to everyone that more and more countries oppose the unilateral bullying practices of the United States, such as the imposition of tariffs.